Hi guys, I'm Caitlin.
Hi guys, I'm Isla, and welcome to our podcast dash vlog, ChatterQueens Life Unfiltered.
Yeah, so we just wanted to kind of come onto the podcast space and vlog space and create a sense of community for people who've just moved out of home or out of uni and kind of are independent for the first time. We've both just recently moved to London, and we were like talking about how we've come to be here, and we realized that we've got such different stories, but there's so many relatable things that have happened. And so many times when, something's happened in your life and you've been like, oh, I'm the only one this is happening to. And then I talked to Isla and she was like, no, I experienced that too.
We're both going through the same trauma.
Yeah. And it's just like, it made the whole moving process far less scary for me to know that I wasn't alone in it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we wanted to do for you guys, whether you're 18, whether you're 21, whether you're 30, whatever it is, like if you've moved out on your own for the first time, just to kind of be like, we're all in this together, create a sense of community, a safe space where maybe you guys can reach out to us and tell us your stories, we can talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, whether or not you just feel lonely and you want to be able to like talk to some friends, like feel free, drop us a message, tell us about what's going on in your life. Believe me, we're going to tell you what's going on in ours. So
yeah. And I think the whole intent of the podcast also is to be as open as possible from our sides. Like, we're not going to glorify or romanticize our lives, because
no matter how much we want to in our delusions, but we'll do a little like Delulu filter. We'll be like, oh, as a heads up, bit of Delulu here.
Because like at 23 living in London, like life's tough, money's short and it's tough out here. Like for example, our housemate is actually moving out, which is sad because she just didn't enjoy it, and that's just a relatable thing that people go through. You move to London, way more expensive than you think.
And if your job isn't everything you thought it would be, then suddenly you're like, it's the debate. And it's a straight after uni thing as well. I mean, I worked a year at home, so I feel like I didn't need the gap year because I kind of saved for a year, did my travels, and was like quite happy. And then like moving, I was like, I knew I wanted to do this. But I think a lot of people do like yourself, you graduated and you kind of came straight to London. Same with our, I guess, ex-housemate, because she's going. But like, I think it's such a new journey, a new discovery. And like some people, like you knew people here, our housemate knew people. I kind of moved and knew no one.
Yeah. And that's like, that is a scary thing to move, especially to London, which is such a big city. And I think, moving to a place where no one, when the place is so big, you can feel really alone. And, it's a bit of like a nerve-wracking thing, because also I feel like in this day and age, it's very much like people expect you to have friends and people expect you to be social, and like if you don't, people are always like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, nothing, I'm just nervous.
I've just moved. It's not like uni where you're in a dorm room with people who like, okay, well, you'll become instant friends with them. I mean, I have done that here. My house is my friend.
We were so lucky with that, definitely.
But with like even like with work and stuff, I work hybrid. I'm only in twice a week, so then it's hard to make work friends and like actually form that like bond with people compared to like the 5 day in office, because suddenly like you see them every day. It's like going to school, like you make friends that way. But it's so difficult then when you're only in twice and then you move to a new city and then like, you're tired on the weekends. Like as much as we try and do a lot. I mean, we did a shopping trip today, that was fun, but like it's hard then. Like you can go shopping by yourself, and it's so, I would say it's important to be independent, but then it's also important to realize that like I'm a codependent person. I don't enjoy doing things alone as much as I enjoy doing things with friends. Like if I had the choice, definitely pick friends over like, oh, okay, by myself then. All right, off I go.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like coming from uni to work life is also obviously like, we did school for 18 years or whatever it is. And then you go into uni I did 4 years of uni. And so it's so easy to make friends and be around people because you're actually never alone. Like you've got lectures and then you go into the library to study, and you've got societies, and everything's like so accessible. It's so in reach to reach out to people and to make friends. And like, I mean, the societies, there's like literally something for everyone. You know? So it's so easy, whatever your niche liking is, to find someone. And then you kind of get like chucked out of uni, you got your degree, and everyone's like, hey, now go work. And then you have to move places, and like we ended up in London. And like you said, like working hybrid, it's a lot harder to make those connections because you're not with everyone all the time. And also the varying ages in the office, like it's kind of hard to relate to someone who's like 40 with 3 kids. Like it's hard to make that same friendship when they're not the same age and in the same spaces you.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, speaking to some people, they've also kind of said how they've also felt that like everyone gets a little bit lonely. And I don't know if it's just a London thing or if it's an everywhere thing, but people do get a little bit lonely when you're out of your comfort zone for the first time. And like, to be honest, I feel like there's been times when I'm like sometimes I'll watch TikTok or Instagram and I'll see a story and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that feels this way. And it's such like a validating feeling to be like, you're not crazy or you're not antisocial or you're just
like
living your life.
It's not like it's only me and I'm the problem here. It's like, no, you know what? London's the problem. Or like cities are the problem. Like it's not like it's not me.
It's a thing that everyone in the world feels. And I think that has been really validating for me. And, you know, that was kind of the inspiration for this podcast. That we were kind of like, so many times we've sat in this room until like midnight discussing our life problems and been like, and then so many times we've been like, oh, me too, and you're like, whoa, we're all the same.
We just relate so much. I mean, it could just be the two of us. Like we're actually looking back. Maybe we're the problem. Like, but like I don't know. Like part of also the inspiration for the podcast, we're called ChatterQueens for a reason, just because
we talk a lot.
We talk quite a lot. It's not. I'd say it's not good, but actually, you know what? It is great that we talk a lot. I feel like we're like the life of the party, or the life 100%. Of the discussion, at least.
Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like sometimes we'll like. Both of us have things to do. The worst, like working from home. And we both have things to do, and we're both like, oh, we got a meeting like now. But we'll just stay and chat for like 10 more minutes, and then like 3 hours go by, and we're like, oh my gosh,
oopsies.
Gotta get back to work. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great to be able to talk about your problems, and like it's great also to hear people experiencing your problems, and you know, we'd love to hear other people's problems, you know, and talk about those, and like offer life advice. I don't know if anyone wants advice from a 23-year-old. But I'm happy to do that.
But if you want any advice, like feel free. We'll like leave our Instagram handle into our bio, and like feel free, send us a DM if you want us to discuss it on the pod. We'll discuss it on the pod. If you want just like
obviously anonymously.
Oh yeah, if you want to do it anonymous, or if you want us to mention names, feel free. Feel free.
Yeah. And I think also like, you know, it can like the topics we will discuss throughout will be anything and everything, you know, from like love life to living to bills to I don't know, shopping, like literally any part of living life at this point, you know, like coming down to like, how do you budget for things, or do you budget for things? Are you like
we've got two different personalities, two different personas, because I am an impulsive buyer and not a budgeter at all, and Kate's actually the smart one. Kate's the smart
Excel spreadsheet, putting all my money. So it's like different things like that to be like, how do people cope with everything? And I think we kind of wanted to start this first episode off with giving you guys background on us, so how we ended up in London in the first place. Do you want to go? You can go first. Got to know our like plot, our life stories. Exactly. You can know us. You know, we want you guys to know us. We're gonna be your friends. That's the whole point of this. Exactly.
So me and my story. So I grew up in Solihull, which is near Birmingham. I don't have the accent. I know that might cause a bit of attention. It's just because I went to private school. That also might cause attention. So really just selling myself here. So I grew up in like kind of like a big city. It's like the second largest, I would say. Well, I know Manchester like tries, and no hate to Manchester because like I also have family in Manchester, so big love to both cities. But I think Birmingham's the second biggest, and it was quite lovely. I was in such a diverse city. So like for me, like being Muslim, I say that like it's an obvious thing. I'm brown, but like just to let you know, Muslim. But it was so nice. Like kind of grew up and never really think about how I looked, to like, oh, I look so different from people. I would say my primary school was predominantly like, I guess a white primary school. There was like 2 other Asian kids in the class. Obviously we were close, but like, I don't know, like when you're a kid, you never really think about it. And then in high school, I went to an all-girls school, also private, not great, but I did get a scholarship, so 50% off. Just pick myself up here a little bit. And again, it was a different experience because I feel like being around girls without men around, it just made girls bitchy, but not mean, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there was no competition that I've heard a lot in like mixed schools. Like as you grow up, like girls turn on girls to impress boys. And it was just a different kind of energy. Don't get me wrong, girls are bitches. We can be bitches. Like I feel like everyone in that moment has had a bitchy moment and had been bitched about.
100%.
But at the end of the day, it was quite nice to kind of go in and never like really worry about your looks or like really worry about like, oh, so and so, I'm talking to so and so and whatever. Like we had that, but they were out of the school, so who gave a fuck what you were doing at school? Because it was like, they're not here. I can do what I want. And then I'm trying to figure out how to like segue into the uni, where it was I did my A levels. I was in a COVID year, which was quite good.
Yeah.
So I got to actually do mine. I wish it kind of was COVID year because like my predicted were so
much
better than my actual grades. I was like, oh.
They
but
really got lucky, COVID year people.
I know. Well, 50-50.
Yeah,
I feel like,
true.
I shouldn't, no generalization.
Just not taking final exams would have saved me a whole lot of stress.
Oh, same here. Like, I think if I had been COVID year, I'd be fucking like buzzing. But like other people,
But also like, you would have had to spend your whole last year of school like inside and that kind of fucking stuff.
That's true. Especially with like friends you've made for like so long.
And also especially going off to uni and then like not having them for the last year and then you go off to uni and you like, haven't like got that chance to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Like my last year of school was so like emotional because I was saying goodbye to these people that I've grown up with and I was like, so if I hadn't got that, to be fair, I would have actually been like distraught. Like,
and like
that's really sad.
All those like final traditions as well. Like we had like dress back in like because in sixth form we did suits and then it was like dress back in the uniform. We had like I think we did Toy Story as one of our dress up days. So like all these like really nice memories that we wouldn't get to have unless like obviously we weren't COVID year. Yeah. But so I got my A levels back. I actually didn't do as well as I hoped, so I didn't get into my top choice.
What was your top choice?
Manchester.
Oh, really?
Well, I think I just kind of wanted to go from one diversity to another diversity.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Manchester rejected me, so and then I went through clearing and found my way in Liverpool University, which I loved. I'd never been, I never visited, but my mum and my grandparents kind of had like shops and stuff there, so they always loved the city. So they were like, oh, it's stunning, you should go. So I went to visit and it was great, but I don't think anyone really prepared you for like that first year of uni. Because like when I went, obviously I'd gone through clearing, I was nervous. I got lucky. One of my like closest home friends was also going to Liverpool, but we didn't want to live together because we were like, you know what, we're going to be friends regardless. Let's make some other friends. Like we're not the first, and we've both got an escape place then. So it's like, oh shit, I don't like my place, I'm going to your place, and vice versa. But what ended up happening was I moved in, and my housemates were they were not for me, even though I did like quizzes and stuff to like, because I don't know if your dorms did this, like we had to like
to figure out who we were living with.
Yeah, kind of like what's your personality like, so we can put you with the best people. So like mine asked me like, are you a morning person, are you a night person, really? Do you party, do you stay in? Like we got full on questionnaire. So I answered best of my ability, and then I met all my housemates and I was like, you did not listen. This is not what I said. Yeah, I was like, I feel like you've put me with the wrong. Am I meant to be the good influence here? Because I'm like, no.
Maybe they're just hoping you'd like make sure everyone else like didn't party, like didn't drink, and went to all the lectures. They were like, yeah, it's been this girl. Yeah. She'll sort everyone.
She'll be the good influence. Go on then, go on then. Or they all lied. It could have been a they all lied thing, but yes, I didn't like. I struggled a lot in my first year, which kind of made me nervous then for like moving just in general. Like I only say I struggled. Well, I did struggle, but I'm saying it in the sense of to relate to this. My fear of like after that experience, like moving in with strangers that I never met them, when we were signing for this house. So we met on a Facebook group called on Facebook. We met on the Facebook group chat, but I found this room on Gals Who Rent, which I believe you did too. Yeah, and we never met each other. Our housemate Ella kind of all brought us together. Yeah. But we kind of had to sign things without having met each other, without having seen the house really. We got photos and videos, and that was it. Yeah. And
it was stressful.
It was. But like I also had that like underlying fear of like, what if I move in? And I liked my housemates for about 2 weeks. I was like, these are gonna be my best friends, this is gonna be great. And then I moved in, like as in carried on. My mum was like laughing at me on the phone, being like, sure you love them. Sure, of course you love them. And then like 2 weeks in, I'm literally like, I hate them all. Like I don't want to live here anymore. One housemate used to scream for fun. Like,
what do you mean by that?
As in after a night out, she'd scream bloody murder and then laugh.
That sounds like psychotic.
No, it was scary as hell because I'd still be asleep. And I'd hear, ah! And I was like, God, is everything okay? Then I'd hear, and I was like, I'm going back to bed. I'm going to go back to bed. I'm so scared.
Did you lock your doors?
Yeah, I did. I did. But then, I don't know, like,
that's so creepy.
It wasn't great. But like, I found it so hard then because I was like, oh, I'm moving in and this is meant to be like, they give uni such hype where it's like, oh, you'll move in, you'll like find your best friend, you'll live with them.
Like your uni mates are your friends for life.
Yeah.
I think your mic's dead.
Hello. Okay. Hello. I'm gonna actually speak into this. We're down to one mic, obviously. I like, to be fair, you said we're Life Unfiltered, aren't we? This is Life Unfiltered. We're doing this for the first time. We're just gonna have a chat. Yeah, that could be another episode that we do. What it's like to do this. But yeah, as I was saying, so I found it quite difficult then when it came to like moving into this house after my horrible experience with like my first year. I mean, I can't lie, it got better. Like I said, I had a friend who lived at the same uni as me. She got along with her house quite well, so I kind of was like, adopt me. I was like, I'll be around all the time. Hello, lads. It's me. I'm staying. And then for like 2 years, it was like good. I had my home friend. I would say I messed up my first year. And I think it's important to like say, I messed up my first year. I failed. I suffered a lot in my mental health that I didn't expect. And I think a lot of people go through that in that first year of uni where they're not sure what they're feeling or how they're feeling. And I ended up in a dorm room with people I didn't like and I felt so alone. So I didn't like really mess up with my head. And I did fail, and it was a horrible time. In the moment, it was horrible, but I do look back, and it's such a hindsight thing to be like, it actually worked out for the best, because I still did, like, I resat a year. I did those years with my friend, and then when she graduated, I was forced to be by myself again, and infiltered in the fear of like, oh, what do I do? And I'd met a couple of people, really quite lovely, and it was just kind of the worry of like, oh, what if I move in again and it's like first year? But I really looked at in that final year, like a friend of mine was like moving with me and my friends, and like it was great. I mean, we all got on. I mean, there were ups and downs, which I'm not going to mention on this podcast, but like, yeah, stay tuned. I will mention the other one. But ultimately, I left uni thinking this was fantastic. And like, even not having a goal. So I did maths and philosophy at uni. Now, I'm Asian, and I say that with such stereotype because my mum and my dad were kind of like, okay, so you'll probably head to a finance route. They didn't push, in credit to them, no pushing. It was just kind of more like, gently lean into finance. And I hated it. I hated applying to it. I hated my finance courses. I was like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do banking. It's not for me. I can't. And I got lucky that a friend of mine had sent me a job poster about working in film and TV and digital marketing. And I was like, I could do this. I didn't know this was a job. I could do this. I want to do this. So like when I graduated, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. And I think I got quite lucky because I know a lot of people don't do that, but that's okay too. Like a lot of my friends are like still searching for what they want to do. Like we're 23 years old and they're still like, I don't know. I just wanted to move out. I just wanted to travel. And I think there's no time limit on finding what you want to do. So yeah, so then I had a career goal in mind. So what I did was I applied to everything I could, film and TV, in digital marketing, and was going nowhere, and it was very long and very upsetting, and as every job application process is.
Not a fun time.
rejection, please. And then I did an internship. So I was living at home, and I'm lucky my parents weren't charging me rent or anything, but I was living at home. I found a free internship at a clothing company that I don't know if it's still in business at this moment in time. I'm not going to release any names. It was just extremely dodgy. I did a lot of stuff, as in like photography. I did like some models and stuff, but like it was it didn't seem right. Either way, I got my experience, and then I got so lucky that I got hired by a really nice advertising agency. They're supposed to focus a lot on higher education, and they basically taught me everything I know now. Like I owe so much to them for all that like time and effort they put into teaching me. And it was great, but I lived at home. I wasn't on a big salary, but I didn't care because like I didn't have to pay me rent. Like I got to go traveling with my friends. I saved, which was really good. And meanwhile, whilst that was going on, I knew that was like a step in my career. So then I was like, I need to keep applying. Let me figure out what it is I want to be in. I was like, I really love that like film and TV marketing job. So I'm like, okay, let's see if I can get into that. And it wasn't until about 8 months in that I managed to actually get the job I'm at now. So I'm a social analyst at the moment for Warner Brothers, and it's been amazing so far. Well, I'm really lucky and I really enjoy it. I mainly seem to work for the news side of things at the moment, but I would love to then, so like as I get my experience and I'm in the company I want to be in, I can then like hopefully navigate my way to the actual job it is I want. But like at the moment I'm learning so much and it's so great, but like it took me time to get there. It wasn't like I graduated into my dream job and life's going swimmingly. I feel like at every point I've struggled. It was like A levels. Oh shit, you didn't get the one you wanted. Okay, fine, try again. Okay, first year uni. Oh shit, you didn't make the friends you wanted. Oh, you failed. Okay, try again. And then it's like, okay, you graduated. Yay, you made friends, but like now get a job. Oh, it's not the job you wanted. Okay, try again. And it's just like, it's constantly a thing of, I used to always see my friends, and some of them, luckiest people in the world. Like, I say lucky, they're such hardworking people, but like luckiest people in the sense of their hard work always paid off. It was like, oh, A levels, all A stars, went to the uni they wanted. Yeah. Oh, graduated, like got the first job that they wanted, and that was their dream. And I'm like, it's so good for some, but like not for like sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay. I feel like as much as we say like hard work perseveres, it does, but also sometimes it is like a challenge.
Sometimes it's third time lucky, like
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get it the first time, but I think it's important, like you did, you kept going, you kept applying, you kept trying, and I think that's such a good, like that's what's the word I'm looking for, like,
perseverance.
Yeah, like the attitude you need towards life, to be like, you know what, yeah, this fucking sucks right now. Yes, I'm fucking struggling, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from doing what I want to do. Like you did that so well.
Yeah,
you pushed through, and like here you are, like fucking nailing it. You know?
Thank you. Oh, I love this. This section of the pod is my favorite. Just hype me up. Thank you. But no, I think it's just important to share that though, because I think a lot of people will think, oh look, they've like got to London and she's in the job that she wanted. But I was like, it was such a journey to get here. And obviously hindsight wise, you look back and it's like, oh, like my parents are like, isn't it great that you failed that year? Because what if you went with the lovely friends that you have and da-da-da. And I'm like, you weren't saying that at the moment, but okay.
Yeah, like it's so easy to look back on life and be like, oh, everything actually did work out how it was supposed to. But when it's happening to you and you're in that moment and it's working out that way, you're like, fuck me. What am I meant to be doing with my life?
Why can't it just work for me as well?
And then like, and it's also like you said, like with your friends, it's so hard when it's not like you were failing at it. You were just struggling a little bit in that moment. But when your friends aren't, and then you almost feel like the fact that you're not excelling means you're a failure, and it doesn't. Like in the moment, it's so hard. And like you said, now you look back and you're like, it all actually worked out for the best. You've made some of your best mates, you know, it all worked out so well. But in the moment, it's so hard to like get over that and to not like fall into the pit of being a failure, because you're not a failure. But and especially with social media these days, like because you can see every single achievement everyone has made.
Oh yeah.
And all it does is like emphasize that maybe you're not achieving to that degree in this second of your life. It's like got nothing to do with the whole journey of your life, but right then and there you're like, I'm not excelling. Oh my god, I'm a failure. And also like we're 23, you know, at the time you were 18.
Yeah, 19. Babies. We were babies. So yeah, I just wanted to make it clear to everyone that's like, look, it was a struggle to get where I am now. So and it's okay to struggle, and it's normal to struggle. Like it's like, and if it works out for you, you know what? Congrats! Like you're one of the lucky ones. I'm glad it worked out, and obviously we all pray that it just works out the first time, but like it doesn't always. But yeah, so I got this job, and then it became the thing of moving to London, and oh my god, moving to London was the most stressful like 4 months of my life. Like I had a 3-month notice at work. I had to figure out like how to move, and I was like, I've got plenty of time. I did not have plenty of time. There was just not enough time. Like I think we signed this house 2 weeks before we were going to move in.
It was really quick.
And I was spending a week of that in Barcelona. So I was like, it was just not, it's not ideal really timing wise, but we got lucky. I mean, I don't know if was it your job as well started, because I started literally the day after we moved in.
The day after we moved in. Yeah. We moved in on the Sunday and we both started on the Monday.
Yeah. Which I think it was great kind of like timing wise, and it did all work out. And I think it's always like worth mentioning, like, again, we moved in, we didn't know each other. I think we met each other a week before. I think I came back from Barcelona, and then I was like, let's meet some of the girls, and we couldn't meet our third housemate. I mean, you lot met before, like a week before that, because I was away. And then we literally had one meet up, and we couldn't even if we didn't like each other, we couldn't then turn around and be like, right, let's just hope no one scams anyone in this situation. But no, I just think we got really lucky, and then like here we are. So I guess that's how I got here. I mean, Caitlin, you up to you?
Thank you. I feel like my journey was a little different. Obviously, not obviously. I don't know why we keep saying that. It's so not obvious to me.
Like, I don't know. Like maybe you do know us by the end of this. Maybe this is just like.
I feel like it's just because we probably told each other these stories so many times.
Probably, yeah.
But so I am South African. I grew up in South Africa. I went to school in Joburg, or I don't know if anyone on the podcast will know what that means, because a lot of people know about South Africa. I'm acting like it's like this unknown place. It's not. But yeah, anyways, I grew up in Joburg. I then went to boarding school at the age of 13. So I've always been a bit more independent independent, I think, than quite a few people. You know, like I went to boarding school quite far away from my parents, so I only saw them every few months. I was at boarding school for 5 years, and then got to the end of boarding school. Got into school and I took my final exams. And at that point, to be honest, I was so over education. I was just like, I can't deal with the stress of exams anymore. I can't deal with like teachers anymore. And I was just done. And I think it probably happens to most people. When you get to 18 years old, you know, you feel like much more of an adult than you are. And I was so over it. So my parents obviously were like, you need to go to uni. And I was just like, I don't want to go to uni because I hate school. And they were like, uni's not like school, blah, blah, blah. Like you get your own freedom. But in my head, all I'm thinking about is the fact that I'm going to be going to lectures and getting taught by adults again, you know. And I was
and then it's like more exams, more homework, more tests. And it's like, oh shit, results. Like, it's still kind of school.
Yeah. And like, especially like obviously never being to uni before, I didn't realize that it is actually different. But like the premise of it is the same.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to go. And at the time that I was applying to uni in South Africa, there was a lot of riots happening at the unis. And, you know, it was a bit of a scary time for people at uni because, they were like, it got a bit scary at times. And my parents were kind of like, oh, why don't we look overseas? Because, you know, I was kind of, which probably isn't right for me, but I was almost using that as an excuse to not go because I, at the time, so badly didn't want to go that I was like, look, maybe I wait a year or two, wait for all these riots to end, and then I'll go. And my parents were like, no, just go. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I actually then took a month. I went and traveled for a month. I was really lucky that my parents like gifted me that for my 18th birthday. And I traveled in Ecuador and Peru with one of my best friends from school for a month. And it was amazing. Loved it. And then I think like just before I left, my parents like, you have to apply to uni. And I was kind of then at that point, I was like, okay, I'll go to the UK. And they were like, before you go, you have to apply. So I sent through my UCAS application at the end. Or actually, sorry, I'm getting so confused. I went traveling, and while I was traveling, you know, the people I was traveling with were all at the age where they'd either just finished uni or they were in uni. And they were like telling us stories about it because I joined like a tour group. And they were all saying how much they loved it, how fun it was. We met people at hostels who'd all been at uni, and they kind of spoke more about the, you know, like the party side of uni or the fun side, the independent side, not the school side. So I was like, okay, I can do that. Like I can go and party for 4 years. That sounds pretty fun. So that did actually help me like kind of put into perspective the fact that I'm not going back to school. It is different. So I then got back from traveling and I did then apply, sent through my application. And at the time, I was so unsure about what I wanted to do. I was like, I literally applied for like everything, and it was such a broad spectrum of stuff. Like I think I applied to like neuroscience, I applied to psychology, I applied to engineering. I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. And I think
it's such a young age though. Like at 18 it's like figure out your life. And I'm like, and some people knew. So like I knew people who at the age of 12 like moved schools because they were like, this school's gonna help me become a dentist. And I'm like, good for you. Good for you. I don't have that ambition and passion right now.
No, I think it's hard. Like, you know, some people do. So like my boyfriend knows what he wants to do. He's got a passion, and he has always had this passion, and he's so driven to do what he wants to do. And it's so like, it's so good because I'm like, you are so lucky that you have this passion. I'm like passionless. I don't have anything. I'm like,
what am passionless? You've got multiple passions.
Yeah, that sounds so much better. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. And applying to uni, it seemed like I was making this very permanent step into any direction. And I was just so not ready to make that level of commitment in my life. I was like, I'm 18 years old. How am I meant to like plan my whole life is based off of this decision? And I kind of had like I like kind of had a mental breakdown about it to my parents because I was like, I'm so nervous because what if it's the wrong decision? And they were just like, get your degree, and once you have a degree, it'll all kind of make sense from there. And so I was a bit freaked out about it, and especially the fact that I was like, I'm moving not just countries but continents. Like I'm moving across the world to a place I've never really been before. And what if I hate it? What if I hate my degree? What if I hate my uni? What if I hate the people I live with? I was so like stressed out and nervous about it. And my parents were like, they kind of sat me down. They're like, at 13 years old, you chose to go to a school that is like 12 hours away from us. And you told us, like they didn't say, I sat them down and I said to them, I'm moving schools. I'm going here. And they were like, fair enough. Like, you've always been independent. Why are you so nervous now? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's this, like, the fact that it's so far away. And they were like, you know what, go and you give it a year. Give it a year, and if you hate it after a year, at least you've tried, and we're not going to hold it against you if you want to quit and come back. Like, that is okay. So I was like, okay, I can do that. Like, I can give it a year.
My mom gave me the same speech for London. She was like, oh, you hate it, come back to Birmingham. Come back.
Yeah, so I think that was quite nice, because also, like, in my head I was like, okay, 365 days, I can do that. And then, you know, that gives you time to settle in and try things, and then if you do hate it, you can come back. And so obviously got into the uni, and also I didn't like know anything about any of the unis I was going to. I didn't even know what the good unis in the UK were. I just applied based off of like,
red bricks.
Yeah.
The top ones, and it's like,
yeah. Well, because at first, like, I was actually looking at like Oxbridge, but then apparently they don't accept you if you don't do A levels. Someone told me that. I never thought to investigate further.
They definitely take you. I mean, people who do IB go to Oxford.
Yeah, I don't know why I never thought. I just took that person for face value.
Did someone just like, Katie, you wouldn't get
Maybe
it.
that's why they told me.
You wouldn't get it. And you were like, okay.
Yeah, maybe that's why they were like, they don't accept you if you go into A levels, instead of being like, you're not smart enough. And I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not a me problem, it's my grade problem. Okay.
Anyway, obviously didn't apply to there, but I went, so I ended up going to Exeter University but I went to a satellite campus in Penryn in Cornwall. So it was a bit of a middle of nowhere, and that kind of also freaked me out, because I was like, I'm so far away from
city.
Yeah, it's so hard to get, like, you land in London after like flying for 12 hours, and then I have to take like a 6, 7 or 7 hour train to get to this place. Like, where the fuck am I? What have I gotten myself into? And I was really lucky from the point of view that I got along with my flatmates from day one. Like, 3 of them are still my really good friends to this day. You know, we get along so well. And I think, like, just having that, I remember that first night in uni, and my parents had dropped me off and like helped me unpack some stuff. And then they were like, okay, we're going to go now. And I was like, please don't. Like, can you just stay a little bit longer? And my mom, bless her, she's such an emotional person. She's like crying, and I'm crying because she's crying. And my dad's just kind of like, come on, guys. Like,
oh, ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, ladies.
Yeah, so it was like quite a lot. And I was kind of like almost like I wanted them to stay, you know, and they were like, we have to go. Like, you know, so they did leave, obviously. And then I went into the kitchen, and I met, very first person I met at uni was this guy from Liverpool, and he just chatted to me for like an hour, and I understood maybe 2% of what he said to me because his accent was really thick. But he turned out to be one of my best friends at uni, and like, you know, we just got along so well from the get-go, and I think that eased everything from then on, because I was like, you know, I was lucky that my flatmates were my friends. Yeah. And then obviously went to lectures for the first time, made some more friends, and everything just then kind of clicked. And, you know, moving to UK was probably one of the best decisions I've made. I ended up loving my course, I ended up loving my friends, and like, I had such a good time. And then I did a master's, I did 4 years, and then come graduation, I had this almost like existential crisis again of, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Where am I going to go? Like, I'd always kind of decided I wanted to move to London just because I've never really lived in that big of a city. And I mean, like, I grew up in Joburg in South Africa, which is a big city, but it's like nothing compared to London. Like, London is like another scale of big city to me, you know, like high-rise buildings, tube stations, like, it's just a lot more metropolitan compared to Joburg. And so I'd always been like, I want to move to London. That's where I want to be. But I was also like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know what path I want to go into. And again, I had this kind of like freak out of, what if I make the wrong decision? Like, what if I choose this form of engineering and I hate it? Like, what happens then? Now I've like solidified my life and I don't enjoy it. And, you know, I think that's also, again, like links into the thing that I don't have one singular passion in life. And I think that's also something a lot of people at uni struggle with. You know, because also now you've spent the last 3-4 years studying this thing that now you're meant to find a job out of, and sometimes it's hard, and you're like, even if you love your degree, which I did love it, it's still like, I'm still not sure where I want to go with it. So like, you know, like you said, you have a career goal. Like, I wish I had that. Yeah. And like, at the time I didn't, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
But I mean, we've discussed like my career goals. Like, I've got such multiple ones. Like, I'm like, if this doesn't work out, I'm also really into the Formula One. This will probably get work. Kay is also going to start getting into Formula One.
I'm going to watch Drive to Survive.
Yes, that's how I got into it, and I refuse for anyone to come at me as a fake fan. I don't care. I learned gossip, and I was like, sold. I'm sold on this. But like a dream of mine, like it, and it's such a new one. It was just kind of like watching it, being like, I'd love to be part of that world. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Why don't I just like hop skip over? So I think as you grow, we'll continuously find things we're passionate about, which I think is quite lovely.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, like, I have this like running joke with like my boyfriend and some of my friends from uni that I don't really have hobbies or passions because I'm always like everything sounds cool, but at the same time, like nothing seems that cool that I want to commit my life to it, you know?
Yeah, I've never been once, like I was never sporty. Like I'm a reader. I go to movies. Like I'm like, movies isn't like my blood. Like my dad literally like sat me down from a very young age, and we've watched so many movies. Like we're the first at the cinema for a lot of things. Like that's why I'm like working in the film and TV industry. I was like, dad's favorite child ever, winning. But also like I wanted to because that became a passion. But I know like to some people it's like, oh, but that's not like a hobby. And I'm like, well, it kind of is. Kind of is like going to the cinema and stuff. Like I know it's just like an activity, but for me,
it's a hobby. Like film watching is a hobby, I'd say.
I guess. I think because with like streaming and stuff now, like it becomes such a like, oh, you can just do that in like bed and stuff. Like same with reading a book. It's like I love reading. I mean, not everything I read I'm gonna say is knowledgeable. I'm torn into like book talk. Like it's how I am. Like it's what I read, and that's okay. But that's my hobby, I guess. Like reading and watching films. So I think even like the smallest things. I mean, you say no hobbies. You're crocheting.
That's true. I'm learning to crochet. Yeah. That's only now though. Like,
yeah, but it's something new.
Still, I'm trying it out. Yeah.
And we're doing this podcast. This could be a hobby.
Yeah, that's true. But it is, and I'm also like a serial starter, and I never finish things. So I do try hobbies, and then I'm like, this is not for me.
Well, if we're posting this, then it means we're actually continuing this, and this became a continuous hobby. So
hopefully, yeah.
Fingers crossed, guys.
And I think yeah, when I was applying again, that whole process of I just kind of, was looking at everything and anything, and I was applying to loads of places, and the whole job application process is like a soul-sucking time. And I don't mean that to like scare you into applying for jobs.
No, we're meaning this to the company. Stop making it such a soul-sucking process.
It's like I was applying to things, and everything I applied to required me to write almost like 1,000 words, and plus like videos or like your CV or whatever. And it was just like thing on top of thing, and then they take like 3 weeks to reply, and then they say, oh, we want you for a second interview, and then it's like, we want you for this assessment day, we want you to do this, and it's like, oh my gosh,
dance monkey dance. Yeah, and you're like, I don't want to dance anymore, give me a job.
And especially when you're doing this like 4 or 5 times like a week, like it's so draining. And I got like rejected from the first place I went to, and I had like mental breakdown about it, because I was like, fuck, what if this happens at every single place I apply to? What if nobody wants me? And my boyfriend will say I'm a dramatic person, and you can make your own decision about that. But I literally cried to him and said, what if no one wants me? And he was like, you've applied to one place, and one place hasn't rejected you. I don't think you can say this.
Oh, don't worry. It's like when I go on dates. So as a side note, Kate is obviously taking to a boyfriend. I am single. So like I have that same existential crisis just about finding a man. I was, what if I'm alone forever?
Yeah. And anyway, so he kind of like got me up, was like, come on, we're going to keep doing this. Applied to another place, got rejected again, and I was like, fuck, you see, no one wants me. And he was like, again, a little bit dramatic, but maybe we'll just keep trying.
It's just twice.
And then I did actually get a job, but the job was in a place that I wasn't sure I wanted to live in. And I was then so like torn, because it was like, pick this job that will pay you but in a place you don't want to be, or turn it down and keep trying to find a job in London, which is where I do want to be. But obviously, like, if I couldn't move to London without the job, and it was just all kind of like getting a bit much. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, obviously I spoke to my parents about it, and they were like, take the job, money's money. And I was like, is money money? Like, what about my mental health and sanity? And they were like, no, money. No, I'm joking. They actually didn't say that. They were very helpful. But then they were just like, we think you should take it. And I spoke to them like every day for a couple of weeks about whether or not I should take this job. And every day they were like, we think you should take it. And then one day I called them and I was like, didn't take it. And they were like, okay, what's your plan? And I was like, don't have one. I need to take a break. I needed to like remove myself from this thing, because I was just getting so overwhelmed and stressed out by it. And I applied to one last place, and I just sent it through as like, and then I actually started looking at a second master's, because I was like, backup plan, I can always go back to uni. I didn't realize how much a second master's would cost as an international student. But I was like, you know what, that's always an option. I can apply. So I applied to a second master's, and I applied to one last job. And then I actually went back home to South Africa for a month. and I was actually in I went camping in Zimbabwe, and I had no cell phone service, so I actually didn't know whether I got into my master's or whether I got this job or anything. I was like completely removed. And
you're like me when I send a risky text and I just
yeah.
my phone and be like, I can't do
that's literally that's what
turn the Wi-Fi off, chuck it somewhere. I'm like, no.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't want to know the outcome. I can't right now. It was just all too much for me, and I do get very overwhelmed very easily. So I was just like, it's too much. I don't want to know. And then I think it was like there was one night where so my dad works for a company that travels through Africa. So where we were staying was actually a work thing for him. So he was like, "Well, come up to the office with me, get some Wi-Fi, and just check emails." Because we were like, "What if you do get an interview? You can't even reply to them." True. And I was like, I guess that was probably important. Yeah. So we went there, and I actually had been asked to come to this assessment day. So obviously I replied. I was like, "Yes, of course, I'll be there." And so basically, I was like flying back from South Africa on like the 26th or something like that of August. Then I was driving back down to Cornwall to have my boyfriend's 21st birthday party, and like 2 days after his 21st birthday party was the assessment day. So it was like 4 days that I was going to be in the country, go down to Cornwall and come back in. So then again, it was another like, oh, so stressful getting everywhere, and also like preparing for this thing. Yeah. Because now I was also like in my head about the rejections I'd received, to be like, how do I make sure this isn't a rejection? Yeah. Anyway, then got it, and luckily the assessment day went well. I got it, and then I was like, actually, fuck, I start in less than a month, and I have nowhere to live. I've just fully committed to this plan, and at no point did I think maybe I should find a place to live in. So then I was like, fuck, now what do I do? And my friend actually told me about this Facebook page, Girls Who Rent. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. I'll just go on there, like put out a few feelers, see what happens, and just pray that this all works out what's best for me. And yeah, then Ella reached out. Can we say her name?
Yeah, Ella will be fine with it. So our housemates are Ella and George. I'm just going to fully
yeah. I suddenly realised we haven't asked them about this. Sure we'll talk to them before we post this.
Well, it's either going to be posted and it's going to be in it, or it's not going to be posted.
Or we can beep it out. Yeah.
That's true.
Anyway. So we then met with her over the phone. She seemed lovely, and she was like found this cool house in through photos. Spoke about, obviously I had a job, so I had a secure salary, and then met her and George for wine and at this place in Battersea, I think it was. Lovely place. We should go back there in summer.
I want to go. I'm not there. You didn't take me.
Yeah. And then a week later met Isla, and we went for coffee. Yeah. We went
coffee in a park. We went to Columbia Road, which was
it was really nice. Yeah. And it was like, it happened so quick. From me getting a job to moving in was like 3 weeks. And obviously, like, I think for me, actual moving in at London wasn't that stressful because I'd had so much stress leading up to it. Yeah. So for me, because everything fell into place, I was like, okay, it's all good. Like, I have a place to live. I have a roof over my head. That's all that matters. And then it was like literally the day before, like I hadn't even thought about it. And it was the day before I was moving to this house. And again, had a breakdown to my boyfriend. And I was just like, what have I actually committed to? Like, what am I, like, I start work on Monday. I am moving into a house with 3 strange women tomorrow. What the fuck?
I don't think it was women though. Thank you for that.
Like, we're 23 years old.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you had the mental breakdown. My mum had it to me. What if that, because so I moved into this house and every single person is taken. So that's been a lot of pressure. For me to be like, oh, the only single one, great. My stories are great though, so that's good. My mum was like, what if you move in and their boyfriends are really weird? And I was like, well, their boyfriends are really weird, Mum. I don't know. What do we do? Like, where can I live? Offer me a solution here. Like, what do we do? And she was just like,
I didn't have a backup. If this house fell through, I
was gonna commute and stay in a hotel.
Yeah, it was just So I was lucky that it all fell into place. But the day before, I did freak out a little bit. It was just like at every stage, I had kind of like linking back to why we're doing the podcast. Like at every stage, it would have just been nice if someone had said to me, I've been there. I know you'll be okay. Because like, I don't know, like obviously my parents are being like, you'll be okay. But I'm like to them, how do you know? You live in South Africa. You don't know London. And I'm like, how do you know it's going to be okay? Like, also, you were married at this age. Like, what do you mean? You don't know what I'm doing. And like, I think it's so much more reassuring when the person telling you it's going to be okay is someone who's actually in it. You know?
Who's gone through it.
And like, like if past me met me now, and I could be like, it was okay, you'll be okay, like everything works out. I would find that so much more reassuring than like when your parents tell you or like adults tell you.
And also, I think I think that's when it comes from a place of care. So see, it's your family, and they just want you to be okay and not stress. And then it's like you don't understand what I'm going through in this very day and age because you're from a different generation. But like as someone from your own generation telling you, again, sometimes you're like, oh, stop being so condescending. Like, I don't want to know. Great, worked out for you. But like, believe me, we have been through both of our struggles. So like, we're not coming. This is not from a place of like. I know we say condensation, but it's not condensation because that's what's on the windows.
Yeah, no.
But we all know what I mean when I say that. It's not coming from that kind of place. It's coming from a place of like, we just don't want people to feel alone with us. Yeah. Like, it is hard. You're stressed. You feel alone. You feel like no one else is going through it. Social media is making it seem like everyone else's life is perfect. And they've moved into these new houses in London. It was so easy. And oh my God, look at my new best friend who I hang out with all the time. Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, it kind of worked out for us.
Yeah, I mean, like, now we are those people.
But like, at the time, obviously, like the build-up.
Yeah, it is so stressful. And also, like, for me at least, you know, I kind of was so aware of suddenly being like on my own from the point of view of like, obviously I went to school, and school's a very supportive system, and you've got your parents, and then even though I moved like so far to go to uni still has a support system. You're still not entirely alone, you know. And like I worked throughout uni, it's like part-time, but it wasn't as scary as like starting a job, like an actual big girl job. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's such a scary thing to start. And you know, and suddenly all the support system that you've had, like I had for 23 years of my life, I'd had this support system in place. I'd had someone I could turn to. And then suddenly you're just on your own, and suddenly you have to figure it out, and suddenly it's like, this is how tax works, this is how bills work, do it. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's like so much to learn so quickly. And you're just kind of, even though people tell you this is coming, you still, I found at least, like thrown in the deep end.
At no point did uni be like, right, should we tell you how to do your taxes?
Yeah,
right,
I don't know taxes.
Should we tell you what this means? Like,
I'm so glad the UK doesn't have to fill out their own tax return forms.
I kind of thought we did, because I watched a lot of American stuff. So like everything I was watching, I was just like, why doesn't Dad do the taxes every year? I'm so confused. Are we tax evading? Like,
my mom was telling me, she was like, oh yeah, so you're gonna have to do your tax return form soon. I was like, I don't think so. And she was like, yes you do. And I was like, oh my God,
is it because you're an international?
No, it's just because South Africa does it.
Oh,
I don't know. I personally don't actually, because I live in the UK, but she thought you did. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, then I kind of had a freak out, because I was like, I don't know how tax returns work. What do you mean? Anyway, that's fine. This is an issue I don't have. But yeah, it's
also,
just
for reference, my dad is not tax avoiding. We just don't do this. I feel like I said that so blasé, and I was like, no one's tax evading here. No.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's just like, if at any point I could have, you know, I don't know, listened to a podcast, watched a TikTok and Instagram, met someone who just is like, yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
It would have like it's a lot more reassuring, and you know, it just shows that even if you're not in the place you thought you'd be in right now, that's okay. Like, you know,
this didn't just happen. Like, us being where we are right now, that didn't just happen.
Yeah.
Like, it took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of like staying focused on a path that, like, no matter, like, I had a lot of like backlash. Obviously, when I failed the year, like, there was a lot of backlash then. Do I go back to uni? Do I stay? Like there were so many challenges throughout where I am now, and everyone looks back and be like, but didn't that all work out for the best? And I was like, but sometimes you didn't believe it either, and like I didn't believe it. When both parties have lost faith, it's a lot harder to like feel like you want to push yourself to do something. But like, if you know like that is something you want to do, you can get wherever you want to go. Like, I think, and it sounds such like those posters, like one of those kittens, like hang in there, like it's okay. But genuinely,
keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, keep calm, guys. It will work itself out. And like, if it doesn't, then that's okay. That's just like something that you had a little bit of step back, and then you just pick yourself back up. Give yourself some time. Like you said, you went to South Africa for a bit. Like, sometimes it is okay to just take a step back.
And I had, like, just before I went to South Africa, a few of the people on my course, they had already got jobs, and you know, they'd all got like they'd found houses, and they were all moving forward. And I did feel very much like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in this place. And like, now looking back, I mean, I say looking back because it's been years. It's been like 6 months.
I look back like yesterday.
But like, looking back, like, you know, you've just finished uni, you've just graduated. You don't need to have like a plan set out. I mean, I had a little bit more pressure from the point of view of I'm on a visa, so I had to have some sort of job for a visa.
That's true.
And I didn't have the chance to obviously live at home.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of pressure from that point of view. But like even so, like I could have, you know, worked in a pub. I didn't have to start my career in industry, you know. I could have taken a step back. I could have worked in a pub. I could have done something different. But it was just like in that moment, all my friends were working, and like I was just so like, oh my gosh, I need to be working. And it's like the same as with our housemate who's now like she's like quit her job. She's like she was so worried about quitting her job and she wasn't enjoying it that much that she was like, I feel as though I have to be here. And we were kind of like, you don't. Like, you're so young. You don't have to be here.
No.
And just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you have to be doing it.
I mean, like I said, so I worked a year at home. So I like finished and I was like, right, I need to find the steps in my career to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know I can't find that probably in like Birmingham and Solihull or like in the surrounding area. So what I'll do is I'll try and get a job at home, save some money because London is expensive. It's great if you come with savings. Yeah. And then like work and just like get some experience in. I get to do it from the comfort of my home. I can kind of take it a bit easier and like navigate the work with my mum and dad still with me.
Yeah.
And then when I came to like moving, ultimately I knew I was going to move. And I, to be honest, like London wasn't like my first choice. I wasn't like, get me down south where it's more expensive. Like I love here for like day trips, I love theatre trips, I love doing that kind of stuff. Living here, I never wanted to.
Yeah.
And yet here I am. But
and loving it.
And loving it, you know, ups and downs, but like we're getting there, we're loving it. But I think there's so much pressure on everyone to be like, oh, like I think there's a pressure to move to London as well. Like it's like London's a business city and stuff.
Like city girl bars, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, what is girl bossing?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's like it's when you know you're doing well.
Yeah.
You were girl bossing it. Like.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I think it's just, you know, it can all seem like the be all and end all. Like when you're experiencing it.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, even now there's like stuff like that I get stressed out about with my life. And I still kind of feel a little bit adrift, I guess. Like I'm still not, and don't get me wrong, like I am loving my job. I'm loving the people I work with. I think like I'm very happy with the way my life is in this moment.
Yeah.
But sometimes I still get a little bit like, am I on the right path? Like, am I doing the right thing? What about this other thing I want to do? Or like, you know, I think it is also normal to question things. Yeah. I don't think anyone, even older people, like I don't think anyone's been like, yes, I did everything exactly right and everything worked out perfectly. Yeah. But I think, you know, and to be honest, like since starting work in like the real world and like a proper job, I've also realized that regardless of age, like it's actually been confirmed that people feel this way. You know, it's not like people who are like in their 30s or 40s are like, yeah, my life is completely sorted. Everything worked out perfectly. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing next year. I know what I'm doing in 10 years time. I have this whole plan set out. Like everyone is pretty much living day to day. Like obviously you've got like vague plans. Yeah. But even the people who are like your bosses or your managers and it's just like adults are really just figuring it out as well. Like no one has it figured out.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, maybe like there's the riff. Yeah. I feel like we shouldn't like discount.
Yeah.
I feel like some people are
like if you do have it figured out, credits to you, and you can message us and tell us how.
Yeah, go bossing, go. Yeah. I mean, I say go. We don't like get some guy listeners.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like we won't, but like we maybe do, and if we have, I guess. But yeah, if you're go bossing it, let us know. Like we want to know your achievements and stuff, or like if you're struggling, or if you just want some advice or someone to talk to. I mean, like Kate was saying, like we may have convinced our other housemate to quit a job. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe that's not what you need. Like we can be quite good and quite adaptive to a situation. But like I had the same thing you did with. Like it's like you question things a bit, but like for me, it's become the pathway of like I think I'm doing okay with like my job progression, and I'm like happy where I am, and I finally got to where I wanted to be, or like at least I'm still moving there, so I know there's some progression to have. Whereas for me now, I'm like my romantic life has taken a full-on backseat to everything to do career. So like I've been single for obviously I say all 23 years. Good thing I was single for like the first like 10, 15 maybe like. That's great. But like for the years that I maybe could have like met someone or like been going on dates and stuff, I was so like education focused and it was like career focused, and like now I'm suddenly in a place of like, oh, okay, now everyone's getting married and having babies or like in relationships, and I'm suddenly like, I'm alone. Like that's, I mean, not alone, but we all get what I mean when I say I don't have another person who is mine. So I'm kind of like, I feel behind in that stage then because I see a lot of people progressing like not only in their careers but with their relationships. And I'm like, oh, I kind of let that take like a back seat because I was like, I've got good friends, I've got a good career.
Yeah, I guess it's all perspective, like you know. And I think that's also something that's important to note, is that you like there's also different stages of life and different stages of where you're at with different things. And you know, you might be doing really well in one aspect, but maybe you feel as though you're struggling in a different one. And just because one aspect isn't working out the way you are, it doesn't mean you're not fucking nailing it, you know. Like, and then also, like, there's no pressure to have all aspects at 100% at all times, you know. Like, it's normal to like maybe be lacking a little bit in one of them and then doing really well in another. And I think that's also like important to just like be aware of, because like not everyone is doing well in everything. And that also doesn't mean you're further behind than other people, you know. Like, you know, just because maybe people are getting married or having children and you're not at that stage yet, it doesn't mean they're ahead of you. It just means like you're not at that stage yet, and that's totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
You should let my family know that too.
I will.
Again, Asian stereotypes here, but like, oh, funny, talking on the farm. But no, I think you're right there. But I think it was much just putting it in perspective there, because like I said, you got a question about like career goals and stuff, but then I think there's constant like races in life. Like, we all keep like racing towards something, like we're trying to beat each other, and it's like no one's racing you. Like, my life is just my life. Like, I'm not racing against someone else, no matter how much like there's comparison with other people. It's like, but I'm going at my pace. Like, I'm gonna get there, and when I get to wherever I need to get to, I can get there on my own, and it's okay. But like, it's so easy for us to like say that, if that makes sense. Like, it's so like, I obviously, as talking about this, we're coming to these conclusions, but like, it's so
last
easy.
night I was not as sound of mind as I
like,
am
it's
right
so easy
now.
like right now to do it, but we all know that we all spiral and we all overthink. Like, I'm like, good for you if you don't though. Like, I think there's such props in people who don't overthink, because I just
people who just like have mental stability, I'm like,
superhero.
That's crazy.
Superhero.
That must be like so wild to not spiral.
I wish I could do it. I wish it could be me.
And I think also it's like, with social media being the way it is, it's so easy to compare your livelihood to other people, and it's so easy to be like, oh my god, like. And also the fact that we don't know the backside of people's stories. Like, you know, if I'm just posting about like my career and say I've just been promoted, but whatever, like, people don't know any other aspect aside from what I'm showing them, you know.
And I think like our housemate George, LinkedIn is toxic, but like, LinkedIn is different for everyone, because like, my LinkedIn's being like, look at all these breaks I'm taking on. I'm like, oh, I want to take a break.
LinkedIn's great.
What do you mean you're taking breaks? I want to take a break. But like, her LinkedIn is being like, look at this promotion, look at this new job,
and so she feels like she's like falling behind, but you're not, you know. And I feel like it's just one of those things where you have to, and like, obviously I'm guilty for this as well. Like, I say this as though I'm doing this, and I can assure you I'm not. But you can't compare your life to anyone's. Like, you actually can't, especially on social media, especially with TikTok being the way it is. Like, I find TikTok really hard, because like, there's so many like people I follow who are like young moms, and they'll be like 25, and they like have like children, and they have this wonderful beautiful house, and they've got like fucking Prada deals, and I'm like, where's my Prada deal? Where's my house? Where's my baby? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, Prada, if you want to sponsor this, like,
that'd be great. I would love that. But and it's like, you know, and seeing that side of TikTok, you know, it's like you compare yourself so much to that lifestyle that this person has, but obviously you don't see all the work that goes into it. You don't see the backside of it. And I think that's just something that people need to keep reminding themselves.
Of course,
It's like, don't take stuff at face value.
No,
and don't compare yourself, because just because maybe you're not at those stages, doesn't mean you're behind, doesn't mean you're not doing well, doesn't mean you're failing at life. Like, you're just working it out like everyone else.
And take it as two people who are now like trying to join the world of social media and become podcasters. Like, don't take like us at Life Value. This is us at Life Value. We're sat in a house that we're lucky to have rented, lucky to have met each other. And it is pure luck. It is pure like whoever gets into your life and who you meet, and it will work out no matter how much it feels like it isn't going to. And it's so easy for me to say, having gone through everything now and then saying in hindsight. It may not feel like it, regardless whether you're like saying first year uni struggling, whether or not you're like struggling with applications. I don't know what change we're gonna hit here. So like whatever you're struggling with in life, like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I know it's hard, and it's hard to see it. And again, so easy from the outside perspective to be like, you'll be fine, but like, you will be.
And I think, you know, that's pretty much the whole premise of this podcast. Is we want you to know that you're not alone, and even if it's just because you want to listen to us babble on about pretty much nothing for an hour.
Do you want company on your walks? I do this all the time. I stick a podcast on to be like, okay, well,
I've
got friends. I'm like, I'll go for a walk, and I've got plenty of people talking to me. But yeah, just like if you want to keep listening, like I said, we'll probably just pick topics based off what's going on in our lives.
Yeah, tell you some stories about us. I guess will probably be the main part of it, but also we would love to hear from other people, and obviously if you guys are okay with us sharing stories, I feel like the more stories we tell, the more people will feel better, and like, or at least that's what I hope. And obviously the intention is to keep it lighthearted and fun, and we don't want to, I don't know, like go down into like depressing podcast vibes. I don't know. We want to just be like, we want it to be lighthearted, but we also want to show you the reality of life, I guess.
Yeah, like we're going to give you a spin on things from obviously from our perspective. We're two 23-year-old girls. We moved to London a couple months ago, and we're now experiencing a whole new lifestyle.
Yeah.
With like our own different struggles that we have. And I think if you're in like a place where you're like, oh, I need help with certain things that, like, say you would talk to friends about, like, I know we've had very much, like, you've had the deep chats, we've also had the lighthearted chats. So I think we want to be an open and free space, and if you want to discuss something that's maybe a bit deeper, then of course we'll do that. We're more than happy to. I think we've both gone through our own struggles with different things. 100%. So whether or not, and hopefully we can relate to that and we can give some sound advice, or whether or not we hands up and be like, we don't know that much about a subject, but we'd love to learn more about it, and then we can give you advice from someone who's like learning about something new. I just think whatever you feel comfortable and you want to share, please do. I mean, I'm more than happy to say horrific date stories, and also then about like how I really struggled in first year and go deeper into that. Like it's very open, this podcast. So,
definitely.
Yeah, and I think whatever you want to share with us, like whether or not you just want to tell us some girly gossip, we love the tea. Please share tea. We love
definitely.
It. Yeah.
And I think it's just about finding a space where we can all share our stories with each other and uplift each other and reassure each other that right now might be shit, or right now might be amazing, and that's great. Like no matter what right now is for you, it's okay, and it will get better. And also we're here also living it. Like
we're all going through it. And I know it's cringe as hell. Girls for girls. And guys, I'm sorry, I keep assuming only girls listen to this, so girlies, great, hi. But if guys, you are listening to this, like we support you too. Feel free, chime in. Hopefully we get some guests on as well, so we can talk to you through different experiences.
That's the intention.
Got a few things lined up, but I think that's the end
of episode 1.
Damn, we did it. But so like, subscribe. I feel like depending on what we're actually releasing this on, so please just
follow us.
Give us a follow, and we will release podcasts weekly, and we'd love to hear from you. So like I said, we're going to put the Instagram handle into our bio. Please give us a follow, give us a message. Send us DMs. If you like the pod, we'd love to hear if you like it.
Let us also know, like, if there's things in particular you want us to discuss, or, even if it is like, I mean, like we talked about budgeting. I am trying my best to budget. I've got like the most basic spreadsheet going. But even if it's like seeing spreadsheets or something like that, like we could do that. We can like show you how we handle our finances.
We could have Kate teach me, because I don't handle anything
that can
very
be
well. Like, we give you two different perspectives on things, but like no judgment-free zone. What you want to tell us, you want to tell us. What you don't want to tell us, that's okay too. Just carry on listening. But we will see you guys next week.
That's us signing out.
Bye guys.
Bye.